Hi, welcome. Welcome to Creative Musings Live with Kelly Bonsall and Uma Joy. I'm Uma and I'm here with Kelly.
Hi.
And it's, one of our joys to look forward to Monday night to have this time together. And for those of you that join us, either joining us live or later in the replay, um, it's just a time to connect and muse about what's coming up for us. So I see someone is joining. A couple of people are joining us already,
Yay.
and we're so happy that you're here. We would love for you to tell us who's here in the chat. And then as we are conversing and musing tonight, we would love your opinions and what you think as well. So, Kelly, would you like to tell us about what we are going to discuss tonight?
Sure. So, Uma and I have been, we just started this month with our Creative Musings conversations and our Thursday night talking about transformation and growth. And so that's kind of got me thinking about what does that mean for me? Where do I get stuck? And am I ready for the spring? I mean, we're still in winter, so I'm kind of holding on to like I could still like be back in my little nook for a bit longer, which is okay too. And then I received these affirmations in my email because I signed up for them because I found this group on Instagram called Moon Omens, and they're so beautiful. And so the one today said, "Life is teaching me to trust myself and to take the leap and believe. I've been guided to this moment for a reason, and it's up to me to make the most of it." And that struck me because there were so many parts to that I feel like I've been working through. I've heard other beloveds working through those pieces. And so you had the idea, Uma, of unpacking that and sort of taking it piece by piece because there's a lot in that affirmation.
There
Yeah.
is a lot, and so yeah. The when I was reading it a number of times today since you sent it to me, um, that did come up. It's like, well, there's a lot of pieces, and what do I think about this one and this one? And so, yeah, to just take them through and what do we feel about them? And I want to acknowledge that Greer, yes, it's
Hi,
lovely
Greer.
here. And whoever else, as you come in, either live or watching the replay, we still look at the comments even after we're done. So we welcome knowing that you're here and we appreciate it. Bonnie, hello. It's nice to see you here too. Thank you. So the first part was about trusting yourself.
Yeah.
And one of the things that comes up for me about that is how we can teach ourselves to trust ourselves because so often what I have noticed, whether it was with myself in the past or what I hear from a number of people, is, well, I don't trust myself. You better make this decision because I don't trust me. It's like, what? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. If I can't trust me, who can I trust?
Right.
And yet I acknowledge that that does take practice because I would have caught myself saying that same thing in the past. Well, I don't trust me to make the right decision on this. It's like, hey, I don't say that anymore. I don't believe it anymore. And it was a training to change that comment.
Yeah.
And, I know that we've said things in different classes that we've done, um, to if I may, okay, well, I'm going to do XYZ in the morning. I'm going to paint tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Okay, I have an appointment with myself. And to help to teach myself that I am trustworthy, then I need to show up. Just like if I told you, hey, Kelly, let's meet down at the coffee shop for a cup of coffee or tea at 2 o'clock, I'm going to be there because I've told you that. So you trust me to show up, or if I can't, I'm going to let you know. Same
Yeah.
thing with me. If I'm not going to be there at 9 o'clock, okay, I need to renegotiate that time. And I'm sorry, Uma, I can't make that to come paint tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Let's do it at 11.
Yeah.
And so little things, I'm going to get up and sit in the morning, then get up and sit in the morning. I'm going to do cafe, whatever it is, to teach
Mm-hmm.
myself that I am trustworthy.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's interesting to like hear it, you speak of it like that. I was just having a conversation with my kids, um, who are 8, and they are figuring out boundaries and what's the truth and what's the, not the truth. And anyway, we've been talking a lot about trust, and that when you've told a lie, that it takes some time to build trust. And there was like something that happened recently, and I kept asking my daughter over, like, are you sure? Like, do you, want to tell me, is there any more? And she was telling me the truth, but I had that little, because there had been quite a few times recently where it was just like little small things. And anyway, and so what I hear you saying, Uma, is that when we don't do what we say we're going to do for ourselves, or when we basically lie to ourselves, that trust kind of erodes a little bit. And what can we do to consistently show up in a way that's honest and real and authentic for ourselves, so that we can start to build that trust back up? Because part of me, when I think of self-trust, I think of it as like almost like self-love, like almost like, to me, a lot of times it has the same, but what I'm hearing you say makes me think of it in like that it is a practice that we can work on gaining back that self-trust, because we do so many things to ourselves that just really trash that self-trust. um, but it's never gone completely. We always have the ability to earn that back. And I'm the other thing I was thinking of is that there's been times where I say like, oh, I trust myself, like almost with this arrogance, like that I mean, and this is actually like back in the day when it was more like a confidence thing, but the actions that I was taking did not align with that saying. Like you were saying, some women are like, well, I don't trust myself. Like I remember a time when I would say that I did, but my actions certainly, I was questioning, I was following what other people were doing because I didn't know what was just right for me. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
So, Greer, you have a comment here. What about trust of cheesecake, chocolate, XYZ addiction? I'm not sure what you mean by that. And so, if you want to elaborate on that, we can come back to that and see what comes up for us. I'm not sure what you're thinking in terms of that. So, at the moment, let's because we've got 4 of these.
Oh yes.
Take the leap and believe. I'm going to let you take that one first, Kelly. Take the
Okay.
leap and believe.
I think of that as being, like taking a risk. Like if you do trust yourself and and you've got that full body yes, your mind is saying yes, and your heart is saying yes, and your body and your gut and your spirit and all of that, and you have that trust, even if it feels scary, that you go for it, and you believe that, there's some expression about like the net will, catch you or whatever.
It will appear.
Yeah, the net will appear, jump in, the net will appear. And I think that's like that growth and transformation piece. Really, I think that's what really stood out to me, that part of this affirmation, when I was thinking about what we've been talking about. Because you gotta have that movement. And even if it's something small, sometimes really small things can feel like really big things. Calling someone up. I asked a friend, who's now a friend, but this woman, to have coffee with me recently, and I was like nervous because I don't like COVID or whatever, like all the things, such a small thing. But it was like, I trusted that like the connection that I felt that we had and that blah 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 blah. I mean, it sounds so, even when I say it, I feel a little embarrassed, but it was like just trusting, taking the leap, asking if she wanted to have coffee, believing that like, you know, it would be okay. Even if she said no, even if we had coffee and it was awkward and it was like, nah, well,
Mhm.
but like believing in the small things and in the really big, like, oh, I'm going to quit this job and take this other job or, do something drastic. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I those are some good points in terms of I tend to be um most of my life there's parts of me that I've thought of myself as very cautious. I don't like doing risky things that I'm going to be physically hurt. My it's like I don't roughneck, with the kids and when the kids were growing up and we were a family and all the roughnecking, it's like, I don't like to be in a situation that I'm physically hurt. And so where does that carry out into other parts of my life? And I think that what I realize is I'm a lot braver than I used to give myself credit for. And maybe I went through a period of time that I wasn't as brave and maybe I've regained it. I don't know. Because as I look back at different things in my life, it's like, oh my gosh, I did do that. I did do that. I did do that. And so again, that's that stretching of that muscle and teaching ourselves that it's okay. And what I do believe for myself is the universe has always provided for me. And I remind myself, why would it ever stop? Why would it be different now? And it doesn't mean that things always turn out the way that I want them to, but
Yeah.
um, generally speaking, unless I am being completely outlandish in terms of a safety scenario that, yeah, if I jump off a cliff and expect the net to be there, it might not. But that's the metaphorical, the metaphorical net or the metaphorical cliff, the net's probably going to be there. If it's physical, maybe I won't jump off of it. But I don't know. That's what comes up for me on that one.
Yeah. Yeah. And talking about being brave, like it does take like courage or bravery. And um, I, the definition that I've heard Brene Brown use about courage or bravery is that it doesn't mean that you're fearless, right? It means that you feel the fear and you do it anyway.
Yeah.
And so I think that's so important to know that just because you feel, that fear doesn't mean that you're not brave. I mean, it's like I'm taking this class and I'm learning something new right now. And she was saying, like, in this kind of Q&A thing about this is hard. And like, if you feel like it's hard, it's because it's hard and you're learning a new thing.
Yeah.
And you might be afraid, like, I can't do this, or oh my God, or whatever the feelings, but it's like pushing through it is like what's going to teach you these new skills and what's going to make you be able to do the things that people are going to like ask you to do for this business or whatever. And I was like, yeah, like if everything was just, if you only did the things that were easy, you're not really taking a leap. And I mean, you're just like, I mean, and it's okay to do that too, but yeah.
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 All right, what's the next part?
Okay. I've been guided to this moment. So for me, when I think about, there's a fine line, and this is something that has come up and continues to come up in terms of what our belief system is of, did things happen for a reason?
Yeah.
And we've talked about that. It's like I don't know that I believe that anymore. I used to, and I really don't think that I can say that with assurance. What I do believe is that everything that has happened in my past brought me to this moment. And the stuff that I don't know why the heck it happened, I don't have a reason. I don't understand. Maybe it shouldn't have happened. I don't have the answers on that. All I know is this is where I am right now.
Yeah.
So yes, it has brought me to this moment, and I've
Yeah.
gone through what I've gone through, and so this blends into the last part, so make the most of it.
Mhm.
So what for me, I do believe very strongly is what we do know or what we do have choice about is how do we respond in this moment?
Yeah.
And one of the things that comes up to my mind right now is one of the conversations that I hear in the last bit of time is people just not knowing what what can I do with what's going on in Ukraine. And it's like I feel helpless or paralyzed because I can't do anything. And this was a question that was coming up a lot for me even when COVID started. Well, we can't do this and we can't do this and we can't do this. And so for me, what comes up is what can I do? And yes, for Ukraine, no, I don't know that I can physically go in and stop this horrific war. What I can do is make the most of this moment in can I contribute in ways that help? Can I give prayers? Can I go to the canvas and send prayers and put the pain? Can I find organizations that I believe in that are trustworthy that I can contribute to get um, to get help for those that need it, whether it's food. Um, can I write to people in our country that are theoretically in power and say we need to do something for the refugees or whatever it is? What can I do to make the most of this moment? And
Yeah.
can I choose love right now with this person that I'm interacting with that I'm not agreeing with? How can I make the most of this moment in every situation?
Yeah. And I think that like the guidance, I mean, I think of like the choices like that we've made, the steps that we've taken, taking that next right step and that next step, when whatever the step is. And so when we're guided to this moment and hard things happen, terrible things happen, what have we collected in our medicine basket, that has like guided us? And we all have a medicine basket of various things. Mine is different than yours, is different than, and so what do I have to offer? Yes, there's all these things that we can do, like you're saying, like calling someone and writing, and maybe there's something that I have right here, right now, that I can give to someone or offer it somehow. And like what are we going to do with this moment that we've been guided to? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think, when you talk about something like that, like it is hard and it is easy to get into that hopeless, helpless, but it's just like one thing at a time. Like, what is it? What is the little thing what is the little prayer that I can say? What is the little piece that I can add to my altar? What is the message that I could put out on my social media platform? Or what is, like you're saying, the love that I can give to the people, I'm a teacher, like what can I do for my students just to make them feel more safe? I mean, they're hearing their parents talk about it and all this, and like, so that maybe who knows what ripple effect that will have,
Yeah.
for all of us. And then, and then I think about it in terms of, you know, the self trust and taking that leap and believing that you have all that you need in your basket to say yes to that next opportunity, or to meet that new friend, or to like go on that next adventure, or whatever it is. Trusting that, like, if you've been brought to this moment and this is the opportunity before you, like, you've got all that you need.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And what comes up to me is one of the things that our dear friend, mentor, teacher Shiloh Sophia uses the comment all the time. We are healed enough.
Mhm.
to do whatever it is, to share. And I'm a strong believer in the analogy of the pebble in the pond.
Yeah.
And so it drops and it ripples out and it touches the other ripples and the other ripples and the other ripples, and it just goes on. And in my mind, in my belief system, and maybe it's what helps to keep me sane, because is it true? I'm going to believe it's true with a capital T. That's how we change the world,
Yeah.
with kindness starting right here, kindness to ourselves, making the most of this moment, touching those right with us, and in whatever way we can send out love and positive things in this world.
Yeah.
And Greer, I love your comment. I don't know, but here we are, and it's beautiful and colorful in this moment. And I love
Yeah.
it. It is. It's beautiful, it's colorful, and it's got its ups and downs and ins and outs. And how can we make the most of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is beautiful.
All right. Well, anything more for tonight in this subject?
No, I feel like that was just so rich, and there's so many threads in there and things that we've talked about before. And I love seeing it all weave together,
Yeah.
as we have an opportunity to with some statement like what we read at the beginning.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. Well, as Kelly mentioned earlier, Thursday night we have our Discovery Deck class, and we're going to do a different theme each month. This one started last Thursday, and so we do have the video for those that sign up before this Thursday. That we have the video to make the cards that we'll be working on for the rest of the month. Each month we'll start with a new theme, and that link is on our Creative Musings page that you're watching this video on. And the other thing that's happening that I don't think I've posted on the Creative Musings page, but I will, and that's on the first and third Fridays of this month and the next two at least. We're doing a Zoom call, Prismatic Awakening, and I'll be sharing processes of what we're teaching and sharing in our Prisma class through our Intentional Creativity Musea organization. And so there'll be connection and processes for healing and what have you. And so I'll put a post in this page on this page as well for Prismatic
Yes.
Awakening. And
I went to the last Friday, and it was beautiful, and a great circle, and it went hold space so beautifully that it just it feels wonderful. So you
all
should.
right.
Yeah, that was lovely.
Let's see, Greer, you're taking Motherboard and Maverick. Okay, because only art and writing are keeping me vertical. There you go. I thought it was the first and third Friday of each month. Yes, Bonnie, for at least the next 3 months. So this month and the next two. And yes, Bonnie was with us this last Friday night as well. And we will continue the first and third Friday of each month for at least 3 months. Yes. All right. So much love to each of you,
Yes.
and peace and blessings to all.
Mwah.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye.